And we are live. Welcome, everybody. My name is Trent, aka TD. I'm joined by my special co-host, Mike D, and we have Josh from StrattonStudios with us today. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad at all.
Excellent.
I'm good. Thanks, man.
Yeah. So Josh, you're I think you're technically an OG of the wax space, man. I think you're an
Yeah.
OG of everything, right? OG of development, OG of Unity. Give us a little bit of I guess, information on your background. Like, when did you
Yeah.
start coding?
So my journey at games starts out a very long time ago. I was always an avid gamer as a child, I was playing 12, 15 hours a day. Really, I was a heavy gamer. And I loved it. I loved every second of it. I loved the experiences that you could enjoy. And then I kind of came to the age where I was like, around I suppose it was 13, 14, I started to get interested in, I suppose, how is this stuff actually coming together? How do things work has always been a thing that kind of interests me. And I started learning Unity game development as a whole and really dived into it and haven't stopped since.
Wow.
So kind of essentially my path, I suppose, was started out in Unity. Actually started out in Blender game engine back when that was a thing. If anyone remembers that was well back in the day.
I've never heard of that. Mike, you ever heard of that?
I've
Blender?
heard of Blender. I played around with it a little bit.
What?
Yep.
Yeah, so Blender game engine way back in the day, essentially moved away from that into Unity, started learning the .NET framework as a whole.
Okay.
So went on there, kind of just learning .NET, C# and everything it has to offer, and then really started to move into it in more of like an educational perspective. So I got a master's in service orientated architectures.
What?
Yeah, I finished that when I finished that. I think I was 17 finishing that. So I was,
17, you have your master's?
yeah,
What?
so
Are you
yeah,
kidding?
it was, so my education path was weird. I kind of done a lot of this. I done a lot of skipping. So I didn't do the degree. I went straight on to the master's, done service oriented architectures.
That's
And then,
insane.
and then I was just like, okay, right, from here, where do we go? And I was still doing game development working. So I started Stratton, and we kind of have been publishing games since. We started out as part of ID at Xbox, publishing games.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Did
so we started as part of ID at Xbox,
Okay.
which is Microsoft's essentially kind of like their startup program for game developers getting onto console. So we developed
Interesting.
our first title called The One We Found, which went on Xbox well back in the day. That was on the Xbox One. And essentially from there, we made the jump to PlayStation and kind of published a couple titles on PlayStation. And after that kind of journey, we were really, I suppose, as a company starting to grow. It was no longer just me, and we were kind of going on that route. So we really started to quickly realize that our main, I suppose, thing that we were great at was actually middleware, building tools for developers. So building SDKs. So we started working with a lot of AAA companies in the game dev space, really helping them with problems that they can't solve themselves. So the thorny technical problems that nobody else wants to touch, and really just just started to push that ahead. Then a couple of years back, obviously, I started to become very interested in the NFT space and came into the Wax ecosystem after kind of hopping around to different, and I've kind of been around since. Obviously, we had our own title on Wax. We still do that. We still kind of work on it called Costume Clash, essentially, which is like a kart racer. It's on like Steam, essentially. But out of Costume Clash, we quickly realized, kind of there was a lot of work needing to be done on Wax and the dev side of things, and
Right.
more ecosystem development. So we really started to dive into that and do what we do for kind of like, the AAA guys in Wax pretty much, and really just started to push ahead with that.
So let me ask you this. When you say our partners here, this isn't like where we see people put like Atomic Hub and
No. This
like
is
you're
actually
legit partners with these
these
companies,
are
right?
these are companies that we're part of programs with, and like we have
Wow.
it, we're part, like like sitting across from me, like I have like the stack of the of PlayStation dev kits, Xbox dev kits, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, they're actual kind of people that we work with on a regular basis. And then we don't really list most of our partners on our website because a
Right.
lot of them are private, but they're mostly situated within the AAA space. Really,
So this isn't just you. This is a company, right?
Oh yeah. We're not like a single man band, so to speak. We've two
Right.
offices. We
2
only
offices.
we only had one office until about 8 months ago, where we opened
Okay.
our Oz wing. So we've a wing over in Oz now,
Mhm.
a couple of devs out there, then we've a couple of devs over here, and then we've a few guys stateside too. So we're all over really, quite distributed. Each of our silos are essentially distributed into different sectors. So we've our support studio silo that works mainly on the AAA side of things, really supporting guys. Then we have our essentially blockchain silo, which is one of the biggest right now, really focusing on blockchain technologies and how that can be utilized in traditional Web 2 frameworks, and kind of bridging all that together. And then we have a couple areas, but yeah, we're growing nicely, which is good. But really, I suppose I'm a very, I suppose, big advocate of pushing the ecosystem development within wax and everything
Right.
has to offer. And that's what I've been doing the last year.
Mhm.
Really like being at every single game conference that there is, speaking with the guys that
Right. Yeah, we talked about that. The Game Con, I think, was the last one, right?
Gamescom was massive for Wax. And the funny thing was, no other blockchain guys are there. Not a lot. It's really
Right.
one of them things where it's underrepresented. So it is a challenging one, because we've got the traditional Web 2 gaming guys are completely different to the blockchain guys, and we're trying to bridge the gap in between and help them get involved, because it's difficult for them. It's a challenging paradigm to adopt, but it's a challenge that we're jumping and diving in to take.
Right. So, hey, real quick before I start hammering some of these audience questions, how many developers do you employ at StrattonStudios? Do you mind answering that? Is that
across the two companies?
Yeah.
The two. So technically, they're suited two different companies, two different offices.
Okay.
Just our corporate setup. But if we're talking, let me check. We're at 25 plus full timers now, and then we've got about 12
full
part-time.
timers. Wow.
Yeah.
And your day to day, I mean, your official title is, I would imagine, either founder or CEO, correct?
And managing director.
Okay. Are you still writing code, I guess?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I still get into the tournament. I shouldn't be. I should be doing the stuff that the director has to do. But I often find myself, one of the guys will say, "Listen, we've a problem. This happened last night, actually. With a threading issue on Android, a compilation in Unity, essentially." And the guys were like, "Oh, we can't figure this out." And I was like, "All right, boys, let's do it." But quickly before I knew it, it was 7 a.m. and no one had gone to sleep, and we were grinding away. Still haven't fixed the issue, but yeah, I'm still dived in it. Mainly, I've been working a lot in kind of C++, Golang, and C# lately. Actually, really kind of pushing those ahead, and WASM a good bit too. So yeah,
I'm all about WASM, dude, big time. I think it has an immense future. We'll talk about that here in a bit, and maybe some C++ too, because I know Mike is a big fan of that. That's where he excels. But Mount Doomy asks, do you think NFTs in PlayStation/Xbox will be a thing, or will they block it?
That's a difficult question to ask, because I don't want to say anything that I shouldn't. But Put it
You
this way.
didn't say no, so that means it's
Put it this way. This is the way I look at it. Every major innovation within gaming has been adopted by the mainstream gaming companies eventually. And I think if you look at the progression path from, say, mobile gaming adoption to how the big companies now adopted it, you will see a similar thing in blockchain. But I think a big thing people need to realize is, and I say this a lot, games take time. They do. They take a very, very long time. Like, realistically, games take a decent game will take 2 to 3 years with a team of
why
20
so
plus people.
long?
There's so many different problems to solve and unique challenges to do. Like, you've just got the game development pipeline is quite a nuanced pipeline. Like, first you actually have to, because there's three main layers. You've got obviously your fun layer, your gameplay layer, then you've got your technical architecture layer, and then you've got your distribution layer. Like, if you're talking developing for, say, 4 or 5 different platforms, you're realistically talking different architectures, stuff like that to handle with. So it's just a big process and requires a lot of team members. So it's one of those things where it takes time. Good things take time.
Yeah, man. Shout out to all of our Waxdow fans, man. Mike, I got to invite you more often. This is awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they didn't have any questions for me last time I was here.
Yeah.
No one wanted to get on the phone. I had my feelings hurt.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. We had the phone number up there. So Floppercino asks, so this, I think you kind of answered this, but we'll ask it again. So does this mean there's development of actual AAA games for Wax going on right now?
Put it this way. I have seen and I played blockchain titles that are targeted towards a variety of blockchains, Wax being one of them, that I would consider AAA quality, what we would traditionally be used to playing within the normal gaming sphere ecosystems. And I've seen them, a variety. Honestly, all you have to do is go to something like Gamescom, you'll see yourself. That's you'll see what's being worked on, but they're great games, and they're quality games. But there is problems to be solved in the meantime before they can actually, I suppose, become a realization. Obviously, connecting games to the blockchain is still a thing that a lot of people are struggling with, and it's a challenge. So it's it'll just take time, but they are in the works. They take time, and from the estimations that I've been given and the projects that I'm seeing, they're still like a year and a half out before we'll see anything decent and start to really make a push, I suppose, into the actual into the launch and distribution platforms. Like, if we even look at the likes of the Epic Game Store, they're slowly starting to push this ahead and move this forward, and a variety of things are going to be happening before the end of the year within the gaming ecosystem as a whole. That's going to change how I suppose blockchain is presented to traditional game devs.
Yeah. So you and Mike have a something in common. I'm sure lots of things, but one in particular on the Wax blockchain, and that is you both have experience with the Wax Labs proposal system, which I want to take a look. I don't know if you saw that there's a new did you see the new Wax website?
Yeah, I browsed through it briefly yesterday. It looks pretty nice, actually.
Yeah, they I had a hard time finding. I had to Google it. Like I can't find where they moved. It used to be right at the bottom. I could go and click on it, but it's not there. But they did an entire overhaul. And it looks
great.
Yeah, it used to be like in here.
I'm just waiting for them to put my coding tutorial series in that get a job section.
Let's go.
Come on, Wax. What's going on, man?
Yeah. Josh, I don't know if I've shown you that. I'll make sure I send it over. Mike did a whole series on smart contract dev.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Super awesome.
I mean, if you're very experienced, you're not going to probably learn much from it, but it's more geared towards beginners.
Always something to learn. Always something to learn.
Always, yeah, without a doubt. So here's the Wax Labs page. But before I get into this, so some of our audience members might remember an incident, or they might only know of you from a particular incident that has to do with the Wax Proposal Lab. And I know that how I was alerted to it, I got an at everyone ping that had used the Telegram to Discord bot, so it alerted into Discord, and everybody in that particular server was alerted to come look at this Telegram conversation going on. And there were some pretty nasty accusations being levied against you, copyright infringement, and
Yep.
In regards to a particular set of code that you were working on that very much had to do with this proposal. Is that correct? So I guess, what can you just tell me about all of that?
So I suppose firstly, it's good to understand what actually the whole thing was. So essentially, we built and it's still there. It's actually available on GitHub for people to see, which is a Wax blockchain Unity SDK that essentially integrates Anchor, Wax Cloud Wallet, and Atomic Assets into Unity, essentially just to make it easier for game developers to develop games and then develop this and all the support material around that. So we done a Wax Labs proposal for that.
Yep.
Very thankful to the Wax team for that. And
Yeah, absolutely.
And then essentially, around a couple of months back, obviously, there was a kind of a blow up where there was a concern raised, where there was like, it was kind of like, all right, well, there's MIT license code used in this essentially, and there was
real quick. Just let me just pause you right there. So you said MIT licensing, right?
Yeah. So the code base, so there was like screenshots shared and stuff from the MIT EO Sharp. Yeah, that was kind of the thing with it. Obviously, as soon as that allegation got raised against us, and essentially the allegation was that we didn't put the licenses in, which they. Yeah. Anyway, but essentially,
yeah, I mean, that was the like the bare minimum. I feel the way I remember it, it was like you stole all of the code that you are using for this SDK.
Yeah, I think the whole thing was that it was like, all right, yeah, we've just like copy and pasted, and
right.
That was kind of like the thing
Which there was obviously like it was pretty clear that there might have been some.
MIT license code was used in the beta proof of concept.
Right.
Like
so, can you tell our audience what MIT license means? What is an MIT license?
MIT license is like one of the most permissive licenses in the open source community. Essentially, what MIT license does is it's like you can use the software for whatever you want. You can use it for commercial distribution, modification, patent use, private use. The only thing you have to do with a MIT license is you have to include the MIT license in the actual distribution library in a reasonable format for that to be displayed to the user. Typically that's done through like a, whatever. Right. Some people do it through like about sections. Some people
right. Yeah, you've helped me with one, so I know what the like at least comics got jokes. I'm gonna be doing a lot of that, and I'm gonna you might even say that I'm very biased by the time this conversation's over, at least comic, but I digress. So a MIT license essentially lets you, like you said, reuse it. You can do everything. But the claims were much more serious than that, right?
Yeah, it was kind of like, all right, okay. So it wasn't really brought up that this was MIT license. It was more kind of, it was more that it was just like wholesale copy and paste, and that wasn't type thing. And that was kind of the whole thing with it. Now, obviously, that was a surprise to us, to me, shocking. Obviously, I'm a director. I'm a company director.
Right. Like when we talked earlier, like you employ 20.
Yeah. So
people,
like there was people on this project that like obviously our staff were on it. So, I was like, okay, right. As soon as that got mentioned to me, now I was aware of this before any of the public stuff kind of went, it had already been brought to my attention.
Right.
So essentially, as soon as that happened, there's a variety of processes that have to take place internally for that to actually go through and for us to find it out. Now, that consists of third-party auditing. It consists of internal audits. It consists of a whole host of, kind of, I suppose, things that have to be looked at and checked. And, that was all done.
Yeah,
that was all done. And put it this is the way I kind of obviously there was a lot of things said about there's court cases and stuff like this.
Yeah, they were very aggressive and nasty. And I've mentioned a few times that you were the consummate professional through that. I don't know how you do it. I wouldn't have been able to hold my composure together.
I think one of the things to always remember is if you've nothing to hide, you've nothing to worry about. And that's ultimately the way I always look at these things. And I understand fundamentally that people can get frustrated. And when everyone's piling in and, going, people say things that they don't mean. And that's kind of the way I looked at that whole Telegram chat.
Yeah.
And I just kind of looked at it as like an infinite rage, essentially. So I was just like, listen, I want people to feel heard. I do. And I want to follow the correct process that has to be followed. And that's kind of what we've been doing since, and really pushing essentially ahead with it. As you can see on screen there kind of some of the messages. But
right. So I summarized this because I remember the Telegram that day was just blowing up with people.
I think it was like 4,000 messages or something.
Yeah, and which all got deleted, which sucks. But this was saved. So like I said, everybody got there because everyone pig. We did see similarities in the code bases, but MIT license, that doesn't. I mean, that's obviously permissible. Claim that there was 4 other repos. So I've since done some due diligence and some digging. And correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't those other repos some real basic bitch like Fisher Price, my first anchor login repos, like very simple stuff and things that didn't have anything to do with Unity.
Yeah. A lot of them were I think a lot of them, because we've never been told what these 4 other things are. But what I can assume is that there's something to do with Anchor. But as far as
one of them still had the gray mass README on they weren't even original themselves. They were not updated and not MIT. It's odd.
So it was a little kind of we never heard anything from that, because I think it's important to note too. We haven't heard anything since.
So it says, so I have here, you have claimed a court case is pending, but will not share those details nor any facts about your case. Have you been served yet?
At this point in time, StrattonStudios has no outstanding legal cases at all of any sort. Haven't had any.
Right.
Ever.
Right. And so, you know what? I guess I always had a question. How did this person get the so this was closed beta stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah. So this was essentially how this kind of all came together was. There were some people asking hey, listen, when's this coming in the Telegram? So I was like, oh, listen, I'll get one of the devs to spin up a beta version for you to look at, very early code base, essentially, proof of concept stuff. So that was sent out and it was decompiled from there, essentially.
Right. And is it are you allowed to isn't decompiling something reverse engineering? Isn't that in of itself an admission of
it's question? I mean, so technically from a legal point of view, you're only ever allowed decompile stuff if it's broken. And a beta code base really shouldn't be decompiled anyway, because all bugs are meant to be reported. But anyway, it's kind of one of them things where it's listen, it's the way I look at stuff like this is the more time you spend on,
Right. And you're right. I just wanted to make sure that we addressed it. Because
I think it's important to address, because obviously
you were dragged through the mud and your reputation was tarnished. And
I think as well too with the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have spoken to me about it since, and a lot of people have asked, because like, you know, some people have never even met me before, and they're like,
Right,
oh,
right,
we
right.
seen you in Telegram. And I think people, when they actually kind of look into it themselves and really kind of dive into it, they'll be able to come to a clear, concise decision from themselves about the whole thing. But ultimately, on our end, the way we're looking at it is, you know, we want what's best for the community as a whole. We want the community to thrive. I want all the best games to be on Wax, and to do that, we need essentially blockchain SDKs out there.
Yes, exactly. So speaking of which, so I started this whole thing on the proposals, right? And then
Yeah.
that's the common link that you and Mike have. I think that's where this had ended up, right? Like, if correct me if I'm wrong, but um, this person in their team, they complained to Wax. I think also threatened maybe them. I don't know. I would imagine so, or it could at least been seen at some point by Wax, and they caved and accepted their proposal. Which this is all public stuff. So let me just pull
Yeah.
this up here. So that's the end of the story. So
So
from an outsider perspective, it kind of just looks like it was only ever about maybe money and jealousy, and not about code stealing and copyright infringement.
I think, yeah. So essentially, the whole, like, because that is a big question. It's like, why is there two now? So essentially, you know, kind of, obviously the Wax team heard about all this.
Mhm.
They heard about everything, you know, kind of, and they said to us, listen, you know, obviously we have to take this seriously. And I said, listen, I completely, that's the professional way to handle this. And, you know, we're doing what we need to, you know, we've got independent third party audits already completed. And, you know, here's everything.
Mhm.
And they kind of said, listen, we're willing to support both projects, essentially. Obviously, your project, while it's in, I suppose, while there's some speculation around it, and obviously there has to be a certain period of time where things are like, you know, I suppose, you know, people are given fair time to, you know, look at stuff if they want to.
Mhm.
So essentially, Wax just said, listen, we're just going to wait and we're just going to see how this all plays out. So that's fair enough. So they just said, you know, we're just waiting on that front. But then on the other front, obviously there was another proposal submitted for a new kind of a different version of an SDK that provides different things. Now, do I think that provides any value of any way? So essentially, to give a summary, there's going to be two. There's going to be obviously
Okay.
Liquid's one, and then there's going to be
Yeah.
our one. Now, how do I see the spin on this that, you know, kind of can benefit everyone, and everyone can benefit out of it?
Mhm.
Well, I think there's two different skill sets completely. I think Liquid's very good at the blockchain side of things, really, you know, blockchain targeted with their kind of a whole messaging and everything like that, and about how they appeal to people. Whereas with us, we are experts at the traditional Web2 game. That's kind of our really area of
Yeah.
expertise.
Yeah.
So I think the tool bases can support different things, you know, because obviously implementation paths are different and everything like that. And obviously platform support's different too, you know, because we have access to obviously a lot more closed source platforms, so we can
Right.
provide support for those too. So, you know, so essentially the guts of the matter is SDKs are coming. And
Okay.
when will our SDK be available? It's available on GitHub for anyone to view right now.
Right. But so the big thing is it getting into the Unity
Asset store.
asset
Yeah.
store. Right. And like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, weren't you right there? Like, you were at the finish line, about to run across, and then all of this happened, and it derailed that,
Yeah.
right? So like, essentially,
Yeah.
like, that really like put us back 3 months minimum, right? Because it's still not out, I believe, right?
Yeah, so essentially we're at a standstill. So that was ready to pretty much go,
Yeah.
and still is ready to go. We're just kind of at the finish line, just kind of, you know, waiting. But listen,
Right.
you know, you gotta let process take its place, and that's the way I kind of look at it.
Yeah.
The truth comes out eventually, and you know, we'll get there. And
Yeah.
any devs that, like, you know, kind of want to push ahead with developing on
Right.
with Unity. They still can't right now. It is there available. It is
So
there.
they could at least get started with the GitHub repo.
The one that's on GitHub fully functions.
Right,
Like
yeah, because I think I've actually heard of you already, like, kind of advising and helping, as you do. If people don't know, Josh, that's just the type of person that he does. He's been quietly helping every single dev behind the scenes since the beginning of Wax.
Yeah. So anyone that's developing on Unity in the Wax ecosystem talks to us, and they obviously, they look for help.
Yeah.
They look for help on how to integrate their games and how to do that. We've built a couple custom modules for people, just to, and the way I've actually been developing it and the kind of because obviously while this is all held up, it's painful. It hurts the development cycle of it. But listen, you can always turn a negative into a positive. And that's the way I look at it. So the way I've kind of approached it is, all right, we'll use this time to improve the product. And let's, make some elements that,
That's right, dude.
let's make some elements that maybe weren't initially included. So when it does get out there, it's more even feature complete. So we've worked on an additional about 17 modules for it thus far. I'm not going to say exactly what those modules are, just purely based on the fact that I just don't want any,
Right.
But so the people who've been using them know what the modules are for, and they kind of facilitate a much, I suppose.
I think I know what you're talking about. Maybe I do. I don't know. Do I know?
Yeah,
you told me.
I have told you.
Cool. All right.
Yeah. So it's a couple of the modules will absolutely transform traditional, I suppose, Web 2 companies diving into Web 3. Because here's a big thing about it. If I'm a game studio and I'm making a game, right? Say I've been using Microsoft's Azure services or PlayFab for like 5 years.
What's the second one?
PlayFab.
Yeah, I've never heard of that one. Mike, you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. It's like Microsoft's SaaS for game devs. Okay. So pretty much it's like think of it, it's like server hosting, virtual economies, player management, logins, authentication, all in one bundle. So it's very common that game devs use that in traditional games. So essentially we were like, okay, well, is there any way we can fuse our SDK with that to provide an integration module right into it to be able to provide that connection layer? So then, say, for example, if I already have a game that's built on PlayFab, why can't I actually, just integrate it right in? And one of the other elements that we've been working on that I'm super pumped about, and, listen, I'm more than happy to say this right here, is a visual scripting module for the Wax blockchain SDK, which I think is going to be absolutely awesome.
What does that do?
So essentially, it allows you to connect your game to the blockchain without any programming and just through visual modules. So just like Lego bricks, essentially.
What?
So you can, for example, there's like sign transaction, that's a Lego brick, and you can kind of just connect it all together.
So we talked about this with like what you have your masters in, which is like microservices, right? If I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, service oriented.
Yeah, and component building and modularization, and I'm a big fan of it. We talked about some no code things also, right?
Yeah, no code I think is big because what I see in Wax is that right now it's very community driven. There's a lot of community members wanting to build things, and people come in, but you shouldn't have to spend 6 months learning, say, Unity to be able to get a game out. You really shouldn't. So why can't we just leverage the technologies that are already available in Unity's visual scripting pipeline and be able to get a game out in a week?
I think I know what you're talking about now. It's almost, I think I've seen it. It's like a drag and drop, like a like, I don't want to simplify it, but like kind of like a MIT Scratch.
Yeah, exactly. Thing. If anyone's ever used Scratch, it's like that except for Unity. And it provides the ability to kind of simply make a quick game, utilizing the Wax blockchain SDK really quickly.
Mike, did you ever use Scratch at all?
I have not.
Yeah, let me see.
So yeah, listen, it enables people to get their feet wet. Because another thing I see is there's a lot of community groups in Wax, and a lot of them could do with games, to maybe, kind of help with, I suppose, community engagement, stuff like that. Yeah, it's exactly like that. Very similar to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So all of my pictures are lost here, but this is a game that I did. So I signed up for, I think it was the Harvard X, their first online CS computer science course,
Nice.
and that's what introduced me to this. And yeah, Scratch is this little cat here, and I think my game doesn't work because I think all of my images are not available anymore.
Yeah, probably just a pat thing.
Yeah, but yeah, so but he was running around and he was setting the mouse traps. And the mice would come out all left and right.
Oh
And then
God.
you'd have to set it so that, and then they would get snapped. And I had graphics for that, and they had catnip, and yeah, it was pretty dope.
Nice. Yeah, so something similar to that, except for
Yeah.
Unity and connecting together. And as well, I think it's important to note too, and this is something that we haven't really mentioned. Actually, I haven't really told anyone really about this. Well, I've told a few people. I think I've told you, TD, is that Unity is not the only game engine that we built the SDK for.
Yeah, I know it.
So
what are some other game engines?
Unreal, Godot.
Yeah. So
So
Godot is an open source type Unity, the way I understand it.
Yeah, it is. I know Ariel well. Ariel Manzoor, great dude. Yeah.
You know who?
Ariel Manzoor, he's one of the Godot guys.
Oh,
Founder.
really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, really cool dude. And another one that's big, actually, and another one that's really big that I'm working on right now is Game Maker. It's used by a lot of people, and connecting it together. So essentially, what we've done is we've abstracted a lot of the core logic to C++ based libraries that essentially enable us to do all these cross game engine integrations essentially. So all of that's being worked on in the background essentially. And the funny bit is, right, here's the funny bit, with all of this, the other game engines SDKs actually might come before the Unity one.
That would be crazy, dude.
Because obviously they're it's completely separate. There's no, literally as soon as we're finished, we can just push them, because
because Godot's doesn't have a. I mean, so I guess part of the history with Unity, weren't blockchain games on there, and then they kicked them off. It's like they panicked, or what was the history there?
Yeah, so essentially what happened was kind of there was a lot of blockchain, I suppose, SDKs on the asset store. Obviously, there was a concern for security reasons, verification, all that sort of stuff. So they decided to essentially remove them, and everyone had to go through the verified solutions provider program instead, which consists of a variety of layers of security audits, stuff like that. So essentially, everyone has to go through that. So if you want the blockchain SDK to be listed on the asset store, it has to be checked and at the best standards of not only code cleanliness, security, user safety, all these sort of things, and and cross-platform I support as well, and obviously adherence to all of the standards that traditional production qualities SDKs would expect to be, so that's kind of how you really move that together and kind of push it in. So it's listen, I think it's great. I think it's a great idea because you can't have all these cowboys doing SDKs and just doing them, connecting them incorrectly because user assets are at risk. That's the big thing, and it has to be done right. So it's one of them. It is one of them elements, but there's so much elements to really, I suppose, push forward with SDKs, because that opens the floodgates.
Right.
And what I've noticed actually is that a lot of traditional blockchain games are now starting to move to game engines Like they're starting to kind of breach out further.
Right.
And dive in. And I know a good few guys in the Wax community are doing that. A couple projects are starting to really actually dive into Unity or Unreal or Game Maker and start to, kind of push it ahead.
And get us out of this silly clicker cookie cutter factory that we've got. We got a question here from Mount Doomy. What do you think of adding in a game to Wax style that farms could use to award those staking in addition to token rewards? I love that idea. In fact, I would love to work on a game with Mike or Josh or both of them. I think that would be super fun. It would have to be not right now because I'm kind of busy with stuff, but I think it would be amazing. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, basically, I'm working. I wouldn't say I'm working. I've been like mentally brainstorming on something for myself to add for people for my project to play a game.
Yeah.
Making a mini game for every single farm to add, like in addition to their own staking system, isn't something I'm thinking about right this second, but it's definitely an interesting idea. I would have to think about how we go about implementing something like that while also making the game different for everybody. I mean, this.
Yeah, Josh. So I have a question, Mike. I'll let you ask some questions after this one. So get them ready. If I were, let's say, I'm a junior dev or I'm a very low experienced, like JavaScript, HTML, CSS developer, but I'm in Wax and I want to make something and I want to make something cool. Where do I start? Where do you point me to be the most efficient and most and produce the best product?
Yes, I think first it's a matter of evaluating what you're good at and what you're not good at. But I think that's the first thing. If you're a great JavaScript developer, there's plenty of good JS libraries out there that you can use to make decent games with, And I think it's a matter as well about understanding the game dev process too, about how that all comes together, because that's not necessarily always obvious. Understanding game design, flow, synergy, all these core things that we expect as like for example, when I study, because I started in college, it was traditional game development to study. You study like game history, which is ludology, how that comes together, understanding like what a weenie is, understanding
what is
a weenie. So a weenie, you'll crack.
I know what that is, but I don't think I know what it is.
Yeah. So right. So I'll give an example. So a weenie was a term coined by Walt Disney way back in the day. And the perfect example is the castle in Disneyland. So the first thing you see when you walk into Disneyland is the castle in the background. It draws your eyes to it and makes you know how to progress forward without actually telling you over this way, that's how you go.
Right.
So he called it weenies, essentially. It's quite a funny name.
Yeah.
So there's loads of different things. So it's really about understanding what you're good at and start small. Don't start big. Don't be trying to make the next MMORPG because you will always fail at that. Start small, make a nice little, Flappy Bird clone, then dive into something else and, really just breach out and really, I suppose, try and get down into the guts of what actually makes games fun and what makes them enjoyable. Abstract everything else. You should, in a game, typically when you're going through your game testing process, you will have what's called a white box world. And in your white box world, your game should be super fun, but it's just white boxes. So it's not always about the visuals. Games like Elevator and stuff like that, where they're simple, like pixel art games, but they're really, really fun. Or like if you look at guys like Rami Ishmael, and really integrating game feel and user feedback, haptics, all that sorts of stuff that can be done. And I think it's really as well about identifying where are your users spending their time.
Wow, these streams, Mike, are legit, man. Look at all these studs that we're attracting in the audience, man. You see all of these project founders and Crittercraft, and Mercer's in here, Skunky Chunks.
They're all here.
Yeah, man. They want I know they're not here for me.
They're here for you, TD. They want to know what you got to
get out of
say.
here. You get out of your mind. Shit, Mike, go shoot some questions out.
Oh shit, I don't know what. Well, I think my main question probably would have been what you just asked. I'd want to know because I haven't gotten started with video games myself. So, like, where would someone like me start that has smart contract knowledge and knows maybe some JavaScript and stuff? But if I want to get into gaming, you know, I know Unity or whatever used to be the thing. I don't know if it still is. Is that where someone would dive in right now?
Yeah. So if I were JavaScript, I'd dive into Unity. Like the .NET framework's not that hard to learn, really. Like you can do it with time. I would start off with Unity's Learn series. They have a really, really solid Learn series. Dive into it, start off, build some nice little proof of concept games. Don't worry about the blockchain side of it thus far. And then once you've got a solid game loop made, then start to worry about the blockchain side. How are we going to integrate this? How is it going to be built out, you know? Or you could just go direct with like a JavaScript library, you know, and just build it out in JavaScript, you know, with a JS background. That's your options from there, you know. But it's really about starting with a small concept. Like, for example, when I was learning game development, I used to start off, I want to make a cube jump. That's my game. My game's going to be how many times can my cube jump? You know, that's how simple you have to get down to.
Yeah, here I got one for you, Josh. So I was on this website because I may or may not be doing something with an NFTG token. I don't know. It's a site called Machinations, right?
Yeah.
Which I believe I believe you've heard of it because when I go to look at the Web3 stuff, I scroll around and I see two projects that I feel like you've talked to, maybe Nova Rally and Nova Pangea. Maybe not. Might be.
I talk with Sammy and the guys a good bit. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I met with Machinations in Germany at Gamescom. Yeah.
So this is they're a legit company, right? This is something it's like tool of the trade that you would use.
Yeah, it's like economy simulation. You know.
Oh yeah, I think it gets pretty crazy. Mike, have you ever seen this before? Machinations.io.
I have not seen this before.
Yeah, dude, it's let me see. Let's see if I find a good one. So it's this might do it here.
So
what it's going to do is you're gonna tell it you're gonna give it all of the parameters maybe of like one or two things and all of the possible combinations and what you would use it for in like Web3 would be like if you're going to do a let's say you have a blend, right? That would be a good use for it, I think. And there's all different possibilities based on who gets what and when they choose to blend and that kind of thing. Well, you put all of those parameters into Machinations and it runs every possible combination, and then it tells you where like your failures are going to end up or what's going to what your ceiling will be, your floor. I don't know if I'm explaining it very well.
It's like a simulator where you can kind of visualize the outcomes of based on inputs.
Yeah. So it allows you to essentially virtualize your economy into a simulation that you can then A/B test to hone in on better balancing for your game. Essentially, that's the core of what Machinations is about. Really good for token, economy side.
Right. Yeah. I personally haven't played with this, Mike. I know with everything that you do, I think that this could be something that maybe you offer to your community or your users, or at least kind of maybe bring it to their attention and kind of, I don't know. I know that they have a free, it's not free. It's a freemium model, I think. Right, Josh?
Yeah.
So it's like a free level up to something. And who won the poll? Is the poll over? Who had the shinier head?
I heard I was in the lead before.
Oh yeah. Waxel World. And you know what? Crittercraft guys, we obviously love him. We use his game all of the time. He had shown me this product, Phaser.io,
Yes, Phaser.
For building, which is essentially JavaScript. And if I'm not mistaken, because there was two, there was Construct 3. I showed these last stream also. There was Construct 3, which, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what you built Crittercraft in, I think. If I remember correctly. I think I said.
He mentioned that the other day that it was.
Oh, it was? Yeah. And but this one I think is more has better support as far as like Stack Overflow and tutorials, and maybe even Udemy. I think it has some courses on it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's JavaScript, right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. We'll run a Crittercraft. Speaking of, is Costume Clash still going strong?
Costume Clash. So Costume Clash is right now Costume Clash. And I'm not gonna lie, it's been neglected a little bit lately. And the reason being is we are at a massive time of expansion within the company where we have got a load of new contracts in, and we're just trying to facilitate those. But we have a game. So we have a game fully done. A new game for Wax that expands on the Costume Clash universe. All the same NFTs are used in it. It's fully made. It utilizes Unity's new UGS services. And it is called, we were meant to release it on Halloween, but we missed the deadline because,
sure.
So what is
this logo here? I recognize that.
Oh, that's the Stratton logo.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah,
you're right. I did recognize that one.
So the next kind of mini game that we're working on is called Costume Clash Krillux Climb. Essentially, and what that is have you ever played Mario Party?
Which one is Mario Party?
It's like the party game Mario, where it's like little 4-player little mini games essentially.
Oh, I played the soccer one last, and no, I don't think I've played Party. Maybe
yeah. So it's kind of like essentially, but to give you a little bit of context about what it actually is. So pretty much what it does, the new game does, is it pretty much spawns 4 players into an arena, and there's like a revolving counter and platforms drop. You've got like obstacles coming in, and it's all like pinged from essentially, your it's all pinged from your wallet pretty much, so you can essentially send in NFTs and go around and do everything. So it's it's a nice thing. And the cool thing about Costume Clash, for those that haven't played it or something, is it's on Steam.
Yeah, I say that I've never played Mario Party, and the comments are exploding. I'm getting yelled at. Wapaka. I think I mentioned Wapaka maybe to both of y'all recently. Incredible dev, incredible contribution to the Wax community. It's helped build the Immersis LP that is at, I can't remember the URL. Just an amazing dev, super helpful, super knowledgeable.
Yeah, no, Wapaka is awesome.
Hurting us all, play Mario Party for God's sakes. All right, yeah. Have I played Diablo? Negative. I am not a gamer, believe it or not.
And if people are mad at you, they're going to be pissed at me when they find out I haven't owned a game console in like.
Oh God!
Oh my God! I don't even have a television.
Shit, man. Yeah. Not Mike. Josh, what is your console of choice? Are you even allowed to say, because you're apparently
that can get me in a lot of trouble. I can't say that, not anymore. Wow. I used to be able to, because there was certain platforms that we weren't working with, but
how funny, dude.
Now, listen, I love them all. I'll be friends with everyone.
Yeah, sure you do.
Yeah.
I was a PlayStation kid growing up.
I was an Xboxer.
Yeah, and I tried to get my son to be a PlayStation or two, and he wasn't having it. He wanted an Xbox.
Yeah.
and so now I have an Xbox.
Yeah.
Oh,
Listen, and I think the future is cross-platform too. I really do.
oh hell yeah, man!
It is. And that's why I do think, because obviously the wax ecosystem, and this brings up a good point actually. The wax ecosystem as a whole, and this is something that I've been asking everyone, and some people, maybe it's a hot topic, I don't know, is multi-chain. Do I think multi-chain
Yes,
is a future? I do. I think that's where all the big games are going to be. Ultimately don't foresee that. I think Wax has a lot of great things that it's really good at doing. There's
right,
some things it's not great at doing. There's some specific, like, why can't we just benefit from the benefits of every
right,
blockchain?
right, 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 right. Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like,
Multi.
why not?
So you're saying multi-chain for a single application,
Yeah.
like the NFTs will be handled on this chain, and
Yep.
the transactions will be handled on this chain, and
Yep.
the storage and the tables and
Yep.
RAM. Yeah, that would be crazy.
And the players have to see none of it. That's the whole thing, and that's the problem right now. Problem right now is that it's too in your face. It needs to all happen under the hood and just function, which is challenging, but it is doable, So it's just about integrating all that. But as we start to see more of these games come and, kind of move ahead on Wax, it is all going to start to come together, and it's it's starting to. I think phone games are the next big thing in Wax. I really do.
So I've seen a lot of, yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan at all of a mobile first development. Like, I don't know, maybe it's a very selfish thing that I don't use my phone for a lot of for my browsing, for my Discord usage, for
Yep.
most things. Like use my
Yep.
phone to usually text, or if I'm on the internet, it's usually because I'm in the bathroom or something. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't, I understand the importance of it because of the 3G area. I guess that's the only internet connection that a lot of
Yeah.
our world has. Um,
Yeah. It's an interesting one. It is where the majority of the players are, and it is where we're going to see the mainstream adoption from. And I guarantee that is the case. And the reason being is because that is the most obvious connection right now to tradition, because it has to be proven to work in mobile first before I believe we're going to get the real push onto the traditional standalone platform. It plays a lot nicer with mobile currently. Like, for example, if you are connecting if say for example you're connecting an app to the blockchain, if you're on mobile, you can just deep link across and just use like an embed socket server or whatever in the application to push transactions across. Whereas if you're on a desktop, a lot of the time you're scanning QR codes or doing like stuff like that. It's just not as user friendly. So I personally believe that mobile is going to be the first major push with a lot of these titles. I think I'm a PC power user. I am.
yeah, dude.
I never play games on my phone. I hate it, but I
That's what I'm
know
saying.
the importance of it.
Yeah,
And
same.
I think too, it's about having a game because have you ever played a game on mobile? And I'm sure you played some that just captures you, that just you sink hours into, and before you know it,
Yeah, it
it's
was one of the Jurassic Park ones that I was playing with my kids, and it
yeah,
was like a knockoff of like Pokemon Go, but
yeah,
I had never played that. And so like it was essentially the same thing, but like the addictiveness of Pokemon Go, like I got that, but through like the Jurassic
yep,
Parker World app. And yeah, dude, like I remember like at one point I was spending real money and I'm like,
yep.
yo, like I gotta fucking put this down. This is ridiculous. Um that was before NFTs, I think also.
And that's the thing. These games can capture you, and they can really push hard. And I think too, the reason a lot of people don't like games on mobile is because they're not optimized for example, let's take Costume Clash. That's on mobile. That you can play that on your phone. But it wasn't built for phone, like first and foremost. So it's
Right.
poor. And it's not as fun of a play experience. Whereas something that is built mobile first with very simple controls can be super engaged and super fun and can transform a player's experience. But I think right now the reason a lot of people are pushing ahead with browser-based games in the blockchain sector is because it's the easy route. Because a lot of them are going like embed JS, like
yeah.
And the only other problem with mobile, the big problem, and I see Dan just said it there, is that you have to go through two companies, so iOS and Apple. And for anyone that doesn't know, there's been big policy changes on the blockchain side to essentially get your app published right now. And for example, they take 30% of all transactions. That's 100%.
Right. Yeah. I saw that in the news recently. I don't know, Mike, if you saw that or not.
Yeah.
And then so Apple was like, if you have an NFT game, and then they bring it down. Like they said, we'll bring it down for you. And then I feel like whatever game company was like, he was like, yeah, now we're good. And like I hear that, like I feel that to my core, like that's why I hate Apple.
They've got to get paid. I get it. Listen, it's the monetization models in the traditional game sector. That's what we're used to. But you just got to go through the things. And I hate to say it too, but it's not about who you know, but it kind of is in these companies. It's kind of like,
right.
Get things pushed through quicker if you're constantly publishing and a few people in the publishing department, Apple or Google. That can help with that, but I personally haven't found the process too difficult. I think ultimately, as long as you commute, and I think where a lot of games are struggling right now was like, for example, when we Costume Clash, we went first and we got an ESRB rating for it. Most crypto games aren't getting their games rated at all. Like, that's a requirement. That's something that you have to do as a game publishing in traditional distribution channels, like on phones, like on
right. Yeah,
standalone console. You have to do that. And I think people aren't doing it now because it's expensive. It is expensive, costs a couple of grand, but it's just the cost of doing business. And, I think there's a lot of that's blocking people too, because a lot of people go to Android and iOS and they say, oh yeah, I want to publish my game, but I don't have any certs. I don't have any proof of publishing. I'm a brand new company. And it's just kind of like, oh, yeah, maybe not. So there's a lot of trust there that has to kind of happen, but it's just a matter of time. And as we start to see more of these standardized SDKs coming out, that's going to help with that a lot, because it's going to take away that frustration layer from the developer side, which is what we need to do to make this an all-encompass and inclusive environment for everyone to enjoy. That's the whole thing about this, is that it's about inclusivity and not excluding anyone and making it accessible. Accessibility is the number one thing that rocketed the gaming market on mobile to take up the major market share that it does today. It's accessibility. It's too much to ask someone to pay $600 for a console to be able to play a specific game. Not everyone has that,
Yeah, agreed, big time, dude.
And then if we look at certain countries, they don't have that access to that technology anyway. It's harder to get. Right. So, accessibility is a big thing. And that's one of the powers of blockchain, the decentralization, all of this. It really helps with that, and I think it's one of them elements that just really pushes all that forward. And I think the more we can, I suppose, focus on developing tools that help with that and enable to take that frustration layer away from developers is something that's going to make the user's experience better. Because the way I always say it to, I say it to everyone that I talk to and all our clients as well. I say, every second you spend away from focusing on what makes your game great and fun is a second that's making, it's costing you vital time, really. You shouldn't be spending time focusing on tools, worrying about how to integrate blockchains, the game engines, or, doing all this, learning brand new smart contract stuff and all. It should be easier. It should be very simple to get involved, and obviously, guys like Mike are making that easier. And ourselves, I like to think. And UTD too.
Yeah, dude, hell yeah. All right, Josh, I'm gonna put some pressure on you here, man. So what I have up on the screen here. So this is the trivia game that we play on Mondays and maybe Tuesdays sometimes. So what you want to do is you just want to make sure that you're granting the extension access so we can see your username. You don't necessarily have to do it to play. Anybody can click on the actual screen to select the answers. And Josh, we're doing video game trivia, right?
Oh God.
Here's the pressure that we're going to punish. So there's 10 questions. I did select easy, but I've also played this category before, and their definition of easy is questionable. So
We'll see how I do.
if you answer all 10 of them correctly, we'll send everybody whose wallet I have from the Critter Craft. We'll send them all a full ticket stub that we have. So for our blend, so it's
So no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure at all. No pressure at all. All right.
All I can say is Vise, wish me luck.
Yeah. All right.
I see Vise is in the chat there. He's an absolute legend.
Cool. All right, here we go. What is the most expensive weapon in Counter-Strike Global Offensive? The AWP, the R8 revolver, the M4A1, or the SCAR 20?
AWP. I bet that's wrong. I'm going with it.
Yo, so this was easy, right? Like who knows that? All right, well, maybe we won't do it 100%. Maybe there's going to be a sliding scale here. We'll see how.
See how terrible I am. Actually, never was it. I see it.
Yeah, it was the SCAR 20.
Oh, really?
I'm a mover in the house. Holla.
Oh, well, at least.
Sweet. All right, let's see who got that. 2 people. We can do it. We got. Yeah, that's what's up.
So everyone, right. at least I went with the majority.
All right, yo. So let's. Sorry, I should have mentioned this. The quicker you answer, the more points you get. But then if you get it wrong, the more points you lose. So this is anybody's game still, because it looks like there's a guest. All right, on to the next question.
All right.
Oh shit! And I'm sorry, I gotta stop sharing my screen. My bad. All right, when was the game Portal 2 released? 2011, 2007, 2009, or 2014?
Ooh, Portal. I'm gonna say 2014. Yeah.
Yes, guys. So if y'all, guys, you can just click on the screen. Like I'll answer here. Yeah, there's answers that show up on the actual Twitch.
Yeah, I feel like it was around there, 2014-ish. I don't know if it was 2014 or 2011. It was one of them.
It was 11.
So
some, you know what I did notice though, like some of these are fast enough or easy enough to Google, like and you can get it in the last
that's cheap
seconds. It definitely is, especially if you're like, hey Google or whatever the other one is.
Yeah, I'll just mute my mic and just say, "Hey Siri."
Yeah. All right, Weega's still in the lead. Contestant number 29 that took a nice little lead there. Climbing Moon almost back to positive. We're on to the next question. What is the first weapon you acquire in Half-Life? The HEV suit, a crowbar, a pistol, or your fist? Damn, I don't know any of these. Mike, do you know any of these?
I have no idea what any of this is.
I mean, do they class fist as a weapon? It's either fist or crowbar.
Yeah,
you
are right on that one. It is either fist or crowbar.
I'm gonna go with fist. Why not?
Josh, what have you been doing, man? I thought you were the video game guy.
It's funny.
Yeah, it was in fact the crowbar. Damn,
of course. Just
damn, we got 65 people in here too. Amazing. Did we get raided and I wasn't paying attention?
They saw that head shining all across the world.
Yeah, it's a beacon.
The bat
Where's the
signal.
Stardew Valley questions? I don't even I don't even know.
Oh God,
I don't even
Stardew
know what
Valley.
the meaning behind, like, is that sarcastic, or is there Mama knows what Stardew is. I don't know what it is.
Stardew Valley.
Wiga's killing it still. Fischella jumps up to third. Wow. Climbing Moon in 5. Sweet. All right, here we go. Next question. In what year was Hearthstone released? 2012, 2013, 2011, 2014. 11, 12, 13, or 14. What year was Hearthstone released?
I have a bad feeling I'm going to get this wrong, and I really shouldn't, as I did some work on that game.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Oh God.
Interesting.
2014. We're going with.
Yeah, you're right. That is it.
Yeah. And literally my decision process there was, well, I was definitely too young to have it.
Yeah, I started thinking about
Yeah.
what songs do I remember hearing on the radio and that kind of stuff.
Oh God, Hearthstone. Great game.
Pause. We're sorry. All right. Fischella's nailing it, dude. And they jumped into the lead. All right, here we go. On to the next one.
Hopefully we don't get into game cartridge color.
What are the
trivia.
original creators of Ratchet and Clank? Rare, I can't say that one. You'll have to correct me on that one later. Pixel Tail or Insomniac? Bethesda, Rare, Bethesda, Pixel Tail, Insomniac, original creators of Ratchet and Clank. You knew this one?
Insomniac.
That is correct. How did you know that?
Insomniac. Well, actually, there was a no clip. I'm going to be fully honest. There was a no clip documentary about Insomniac and their whole thing, and I watched it like a week ago.
A what? A documentary?
Yeah, so there's a company called NoClip, and they do game dev documentaries essentially.
Oh, wow.
Like deep dives on how the game was made, like behind the scenes type stuff.
That's some like serious nerd stuff right there.
Yeah. I'm a massive nerd. Like, for example, they did one on Crash Bandicoot where essentially the whole thing was on the old PlayStation. They had to actually hack it to be able to box the memory into pages. So essentially paging all the memory into boxes to be able to fit the original Crash Bandicoot into the PlayStation 1. And that's where we got the paging concept from in games, which is, So, I'm a massive nerd. On that sort of stuff.
That's probably one of like the nerdiest things that I've heard this month easily. I watch game documentaries. Yeah, Gaz is in first. All right. Your number 46. All right, let's go. On the next one, which Kirby game first introduced Kopi abilities? Kirby Superstar, Kirby's Dream Land 2, Kirby's Adventure, or Kirby's Dream Land? I know who Kirby's a character. I think maybe from Nintendo.
I've never played a Kirby game. I'm not gonna lie, so I'm gonna go with Dreamland.
Yeah, Mike, you got any guesses?
Yeah, I feel smart now and included because I recognize the word Kirby. Aside from that, I'm pretty much just completely lost.
It's like a little pink, purple, like.
No, I've seen the character, and it's in Smash Brothers. Yeah,
everyone knows him from Smash Brothers.
So, guys, to answer your question, so if you hover over the screen, you'll see on the right-hand side there'll be a little slide out, and I can't show you because it'll do that like Inception thing with the video.
Videoception.
Yeah. And then you got to grant access. All right. What did y'all say? What did we say? Ooh, only 2 people got it. Damn. Trippy Flows. What up, my friend? Thank you for the sub, man.
Legend.
I'm kind of shocked at how many people we have in here right now.
It's awesome. Crazy. Everyone's come out from the woodwork.
Yeah, dude. That's what's up.
It's a pleasure to see you all.
Yeah, man. I thought that our nerd sessions would be like 10 or 12 of us, like it, But no,
I think it brings out the hidden nerd in everyone.
Yeah. Well, Yeah. Unfortunately, guys, if you answer incorrectly, you get minus. So now we got in the first, but you know what? You got like 3 questions left, so just don't mess these ones up.
Yeah, no pressure,
Here we go.
guys.
What game was used to advertise Steam? Team Fortress, Half-Life, Counter-Strike 1.6, Half-Life 2. I believe Josh knows this one, right?
I mean, they were all, see, it depends on the context of like advertising because they were all used at one point in time. I'm going to say TF2.
These comics going with Half-Life 3 confirmed.
Yeah, that's been confirmed a few times.
Yeah, you know what? I think these might be user-submitted questions that.
Yeah, because it's kind of like they were all used in some context. Like if you're talking, the big thing that pushed Steam's whole ecosystem was the orange box that kind of went out.
Yeah,
and
they said
kinda...
it's Counter-Strike 1.6.
Oh, fair enough.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
I never was a big Counter-Strike gamer.
Oh, that flipped the script on the scores there. Look at that. Yeah, Grimace, I will stand beside you in that argument because I don't. It sounds like there might be something wrong here with that answer.
Yeah,
people answering. So, but Wiga is in the lead by 20. Yeah, Josh, you are from Ireland or in Ireland?
Yes, I am indeed. Our office is situated in Wicklow, so about like 25 minutes from Dublin, not too far. Yeah,
Nice. And
yes.
what language do they speak? They speak Irish, right? Is Irish a language?
It is a language, but I mean, like nobody talks it. Like, yeah. Well, a certain part of Ireland they do on one end of it, but like, yeah, it's very uncommon. If you hear someone talking Irish, 90% of Irish people will look at them like the 5 heads and say, "What are you going on about?"
Yeah, my bad. I clicked this question here. Which of these is not a wonder weapon in Call of Duty Zombies? Scavenger, GK7, R115, ray gun. I have no idea. So these are just like, I don't understand how you could ever categorize this as easy for anybody, unless it's the guy who made that weapon or that sprite image for this game, and he would know it.
Well, the wonder weapons, I'm gonna say Scavenger.
Yeah, I think that's what. No, it was the Resonator. How silly! Did nobody got that?
I knew that one.
Did you?
Nah, I'm just kidding. I didn't even know there was a Call of Duty Zombies.
Yeah.
I sunk a lot of my life into COD Zombies.
I've heard of Call of Duty before, so I guess that's something.
Yeah, that's a start.
Word. All right. Wiga is playing a very strategic game by not answering and maintaining his lead. Well, no. So if you answer wrong, you lose points. If you answer right, you gain points.
So
if you don't answer,
there's a meta game going on here where you have to guess whether you can answer correctly.
Right. All right. In Night in the Woods, where does Greg work? The Snack Falcon, Food Donkey, Video Outpost 2, Old Pickaxe. I have no idea. Oh, Josh. Oh, yeah. We all love Josh. He's amazing. And Mike. I don't know which one you're talking about. Yes, I want them both on all of the streams. In fact, that's what I suggested. I'm like, we had Mike on Monday, and then he's going to join for Josh, and then now the 2 of them need to join for the next one, and then whoever that is,
it cascades.
3 of them need to join for the next one, and then we just keep piling on until we have some ridiculous like.
Yeah, that do breakout rooms. What was the question again?
Shit, I lost it. Sorry. In Night in the Woods, where does Greg work? Snack Falcon, Food Donkey, Video Outpost 2, Old Pickaxe.
Oh, I've never played that.
Snack. Yeah, I had no idea. Yeah, there we go. Snowballing. That's right.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I think I've heard of like 2 of the games so far in the questions.
Oh shit, Trippy Flows knew that one. Shout out Trippy. All right, so I think it might. I don't know. There's one question left. I think that the max points might. Guys, you have to just pick an answer as fast as you can and hope it's right. I think here to win. I forgot. Yeah.
Start clicking.
No one can beat. Nice sneakery in the house. What up? All right, here we go. Last question. Which Grand Theft Auto games have the same setting? I guess it's where it's at. GTA 4 and GTA Vice City, GTA 5 and GTA Vice City, GTA 5 and GTA San Andreas, GTA 4 and GTA San Andreas. What a ridiculous question.
I think it's 5. I think it's 5 in San Andreas.
They have the same, like they're set.
Yeah, set in the same town, like, because you can go and visit CJ's house. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think that's correct. Or maybe I'm getting one of the remakes confused. The good old GTA remakes, you know, they've made some.
All right, so we got 3 of them, 3 out of our answers. I guess let's see. I guess Wiga did it, dude. And shout out Wiga. I know I'm pronouncing the name wrong. I don't know if I'll ever be able to fix it. I've been saying it for so long this way. Won the game. Has been helping me out with the tickets. I super appreciate you, my friend. Send one to yourself. If that makes sense. Congrats on the win. And yeah, I'll get with you. We're gonna, if you guys know us and Sandy and NFTG well enough, you know that I'm gonna move the goalpost on what the requirements were for Josh, and we're still gonna send everybody something because that's just how we do.
Because these are all legends.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, but yeah. And let's run one more Crittercraft since we have such a nice crowd here, and then we'll get y'all over to somebody to watch something else.
Yeah.
Mike, do you have any questions for let's throw him some curveballs, man. I'm trying to think.
I do love a curveball.
If you could, who's your biggest idol, I guess?
Biggest idol? Oh, idol's a tricky one for me. I believe that. See, now this is I've always given a very weird answer to this to everyone. So essentially, I believe that you can learn a lot from. You can learn a little bit from everyone. I think there's no one person that is perfect, and I think that's what makes us great as humans. You know, our flaws are what make us, kind of unique and thing. But one person that I suppose I really, really like, specifically within the game dev sector, because I just think how they founded, how they founded their company, and just really how they have progressed their journey through the game dev sector is let me see who am I going to pick, because there's 2 I'm thinking. I don't want to give like a crappy answer. Like the normal one I give is Hideo Kojima, because I just think he stood to his ground the whole way through his career, and he's just made, like, for example, the whole thing. I've seen that comment. I'm not gonna. That got me good. Yeah. No, Hideo Kojima. We'll go with him. He's one of these guys that has faced a lot of adversity in the games industry as a whole throughout his whole career. Like essentially, being knocked back by Konami, really just struggling to get his titles out there. People not always liking his titles, like Death Stranding. Everyone thought it was just weird. But he keeps going ahead and he keeps publishing awesome things. For anyone that doesn't know, he's one of the guys behind Metal Gear Solid. So essentially it's like a stealth game. But really, really good dude. Has done a lot for the industry as a whole and transforming it. But there's so many people in the game dev industry that are, I suppose, legends in their own right, that have done great things for the industry. Another big guy that I love is John Romero. He actually lives in Ireland. Really, really cool dude, the creator of Doom. He transformed the gaming industry as a whole. Like, he made first-person shooters. Like, literally, him and his team made first-person shooters. And here's the best bit I love about John Romero, and it's one thing that I always think. He never started out in games to make money. He started out in games for the love of the craft and the love of sharing with others what he was making. Like, you know, sharing that creative freedoms with others, being able to help each other and distribute it. Because we have to remember where games have came from to really understand where they're going. Now, games came from a place where we were all sharing, you know, kind of, you know, tapes of games, you know, posting them to each other out of magazines. It was a very tight-knit community, kind of like what Wax is today. And it just kind of flourished from there and started to grow out of that. But the number one element that made games great in the beginning and will make games great moving forward is, you know, sharing and really actually helping each other grow. Because as I always say, a rising tide always raises all ships.
That's
and
right.
ultimately, at the end of the day, it's not about what you can get, it's about what you can give to other people in the community.
Right.
And I think that's the core thing that will carry us through. And that's who I look to when I'm kind of saying, all right, what would they do in this situation? What decision would they make when faced with maybe a true bit of adversity? How would they overcome it? You know, what did they, you know, happen there? So that's kind of the way I look at it. But yeah, so there's a lot of people in the games industry that I aspire to. There's been a couple now that I used to give that maybe are off the list because, you know what they say, never meet your heroes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an interesting one. Yeah, the games industry is such a diverse one though, and it's been around for so long.
Nice.
It's yeah, it's just it's a funny one, you know.
Yep. All right, I got a question for you. I've asked all of my guests thus far. Feel free not to answer if it's too personal. Last week we saw madness in crypto. It's continuing. It's like every day the story just gets a little bit.
Oh yes.
So you know, I don't know if you had any exposure to FTX. I guess
I did.
How bad was it?
Oh, it was probably more than it should have been. Listen, you know, at the end of the day, you know, put it this way, it was probably up in the range of, you know, Wax Labs-ish range, that sort of thing, you know, that sort of. So it was good out, you know, kicking the stones, as I like to say. But at the end of the day, this is the way I look at all of this.
Yeah, I don't know how you always have a positive spin on everything.
This is the way I look at this. You can't put your hand in the fire and then cry when you get burned. You really can't.
Okay.
And
I hear you, man. I hear you.
In two of these situations, you've got two options, right? I could sit here and say, "Oh, poor me," you know. Listen, these, you know, sing me a song, you know, or do all that. But that's not going to change the situation. Ultimately, we've got to power forward. A decision was made. Every action has a reaction. You know, there's consequences that come out of that, and I accept them fully. You know, is it a catastrophic to who I am and what I do? Yeah, it'll hurt a little bit, but I mean, listen, you know, at the way as I say, you know, you know, when you lose one life in Mario, you always have another. So, you know, you can just
find the little turtle thing coming down the stairs.
You can just get back up and go again. Why not? You know, this is the journey that we're on, and listen, it makes a great story. You know, as I,
boy,
the way
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the way I look at it now is like it's my admission ticket to be for a moment in history type thing, because that's what it is. It's
right. I heard it called the crypto 9/11, which like that might sound a little dramatic, but like if you like think a little more into it, like oh fuck, like is that really where we're at? Like, and
yeah,
you know, I don't like to subscribe to conspiracy theories. I feel like a lot of times, like, you know, there's an old saying about like if a police officer follows you long enough in a car, like he's gonna catch you doing something wrong.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because you look deep enough at anything, you'll either gonna like face confirmation bias or you'll, you know, you're gonna find something and be like, oh, look at this, you know, this person did so it's, you know, X, Y, and Z, when it could be like that's not compelling evidence just because a thing happened. And you know what I mean.
There's an interesting book called 3 Felonies a Day. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Where
3 Felonies a Day
shows how basically the average person could be put in jail for life any day just for like living their normal life.
Damn. Yeah.
It's And I think it is a change in time in crypto right now. Not everyone's in a position that maybe, like, obviously the whole FTS saga has hurt a lot of people. It's stung. I would just say to anyone that is affected, ultimately at the end of the day, it can always be better. As long as you have your health is your wealth. That's the way that's what my mother always told me anyway.
That, dude.
That's what my mother always told me. So listen, you can get back up, you can go again, and the better thing about the always good thing about round two is that you have the knowledge from round one going into it, and you can make better decisions moving forward. They always say that not your keys, not your crypto. It really is true. I know it seems painful, hardware wallets, but listen, at the end of the day, if that's what you want to protect, you just got to do it. That is the risk you take when you get involved in all of this. And ultimately, at the end of the day, the way I look at it is, in 2008, look what happened. Lehman Brothers, all that sort of thing.
Right, dude. Yeah.
It happens. This is the thing. It's just really, really, a time. And I think what this does is it tests your resolve as a human being. It tests how resilient you are to, I suppose, to change, and I suppose to
adversity
to adversity. And ultimately, it's times like these where we really learn who we are. That's the way I look at it. And what I like to always do is dust the shoulder off and get back up again and go again, because there's always more to give. There's always more to I suppose foster from, and the lessons learned are so valuable. Like, ultimately, the most and I've always been someone who learns from what I do. So I think it'll never happen again, but it hurts. It does hurt. But listen, we've got a lot of good stuff happening in crypto. It can't get much worse.
Right. Yeah. There's only so, every time I think we've hit rock bottom, like they dig out a few more floors and like, oh, don't forget, we're going down here now. It's wild, man.
Yeah. I think the contagion is crazy, though. I think it's absolutely mental. Just like we've seen Genesis have gone down now too.
Man. I had to turn it off. But then because I'll just get consumed. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but prior to NFTs, like I consumed media at an unhealthy level. It was nonstop CNN, Fox News, and NPR. So I would just keep rotating between all three of them, and like trying to. I did that for a lot of reasons. But it was really just trying to filter out to get what the spin that each one has. And I know, I'm sorry I started it without letting y'all know. And it was so bad. It's not good for your mental health. And then I found NFTs, and then I was like, oh yeah, fuck that. Like I'm done with news media. And I was good for a long time. I think it was Uvalde, like the shooting here in Texas, that it was like I found myself back in that cycle where it was like, get up, look at the news every 10 minutes, like checking what's new. And
it's a tough cycle. It's a tough cycle. And I think that's the thing too. Like, turn off your phones if it affects you that bad, and just literally, take a walk. It's one of them things, and I think that a lot of lessons have been learned of this. The people that have stayed through this, though, you're kind of, you get your little OG badge.
I'm going to just do some shilling here really quickly before we wrap this up. While I'm doing that, gentlemen, do you have anything for our audience before we let them go? There's the Twitter, the StrattonStudios Twitter account. Please like and follow. I didn't ask either of you which socials y'all wanted shilled, so I'm just going to pick your YouTube and your Twitters each, I guess. If you're not following StrattonStudios, please do so. You're not following at Waxdow on Twitter. I don't know why I didn't put the whole link. And for any aspiring smart contract devs out there, Mike has put together an entire 9-video series on smart contract developing. which admittedly I haven't gotten into yet, but I assure you when that time comes, which it'll be very soon, maybe even this weekend, I'm going to ditch my EOS training and I'm going to take the MikeD crypto training.
Let's go.
And you're going to get a fair and balanced review, my friend. But yeah, dude, shout out these guys for being such awesome co-hosts, guests. Mike, do you have anything for the audience?
I still owe somebody a Wojak from the other day, I think, don't I?
Yeah, you can send it over to Give San Diego. It's fine, man. We're good. Let's see. What's he asking here? Shopping cart 10. There's zero balance. I think we're talking game theory in here now. Wow.
I think we're just talking about morals.
Yeah. Oh, hey, you know what I want to do? So, like, these last two have been amazing. Maybe one or both of y'all can come up with a suggestion for the next one. I was kind of joking about having y'all on, but you're more than welcome. I would love it. But like, who do we bring up next? So think about it. You don't have to answer now. Think about it. Hit me back, and then I'll go ping them in DM and beg them for their presence.
Yeah, I'll have to have a think. And are we thinking people just in the wax community, or about some guys from?
You know what? That's a great question. I don't think it matters. Mike, what do you think?
I don't think it matters that much. I think people. I mean, look at Joe Rogan. People like hearing information from a very diverse group of people. So I mean, the people here are probably trying to learn about crypto and stuff. So I'm sure.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I wouldn't disagree with that. I mean, we got guys and all kinds of awesome devs. Guys, I'm gonna hit you up. We're gonna put you on the schedule. Faux show.
Yes.
All right, folks, thank you so much. Josh, I can't thank you enough, brother. I will be in touch with you. I think we're if you're able to do that Saturday thing with me, that would be amazing. Mike, dude, I can't thank you enough, brother. I'm going to send you some giveaway tickets, or maybe ask Wiga to do it to give away to your community just for you being here and helping me out today. Thank you so much, y'all. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks for having me.
All right, see you guys.
Meet you, Josh. Take care.